Hello, everyone. So, I think most of us know that heart disease is the leading cause of death in all over the world. And we want to bring this topic today with Ali Zozos. Ali is a registered dietitian and she focuses on the diet part, but the research says that if you focus on diet, exercise, and lifestyle, this disease can be reversed. Ali, welcome, and tell us a little bit about why this disease has become such a big cause of death in the world.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank everyone for having me. Amita, thank you for having this conversation today. Like you mentioned, my name is Ali Zozos. I'm a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and I focus on Mediterranean diet for insulin resistance, diabetes, and heart health. And this just group of conditions, they all, heart disease itself being the number one killer worldwide. And specifically in women in the United States, it's very near and dear to my heart, losing family members to this disease and this condition. But the thing about it is, yes, genetics plays a role, but so do our lifestyle choices. And the diet that I use most often with my clients is a Mediterranean style diet, which I know we're going to get into later today. And it's so wonderful because of the foods and patterns that it has that we can prevent 2/3 of these conditions, 2/3 incidents happening through a Mediterranean diet, through a balanced plate. And I just want to show anyone looking to either prevent future incidences from happening, either they're coming off of a heart attack or a stroke or something, or just want to prevent it all because they have a family history. Diet is going to go a really long way to do so. And I love showing people just how to do that.
Sure. So let's just talk about the definition of heart healthy diet, right? Mediterranean is one of the diets, but there are other diets as well. Do you want to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So heart healthy diet is something that can be many, many different things. And there's a few diets that come to mind when we talk about this. The first being the original Ornish diet. And what really this one says is it's very low in fats, even the good fats, things like avocado, things like extra virgin olive oil. And we know that these nutrients are extremely beneficial for lowering your LDL fat and for raising your HDL cholesterol, your LDL cholesterol and your HDL. And without having these, your diet is very restricted. It ends up being lower in nutrients and densities, so it may not keep you very full for very long. It's very strict, and I don't recommend it for many people. I don't recommend it for any of my clients because I know the benefits of good heart healthy fats. The second is the DASH diet, which is very, very similar in pattern to a Mediterranean approach. However, there is a bit more restriction on the sodium because it is dietary approaches to stop hypertension, which means that sodium is just kicked down to around 1,500 milligrams or even less if you are watching your BP, your blood pressure. So on the flip side, the Mediterranean kind of takes everything and it's the least restrictive. That's why I like it the most, because we're looking at patterns, we're looking at inclusion. And some of those foods that we include, like I mentioned, are those heart healthy fats, extra virgin olive oil, avocados, fatty fish, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, grains, whole grains, beans, legumes, anything that is going to be found in nature. It's very heavy on plant-based, and we do have some animal proteins from time to time, but it's not the focus of the diet because I think we can all, myself included, can improve our diets by just getting more fruits and vegetables. And that's where a lot of us need to start. So by incorporating a more plant-based diet doesn't mean you are a vegetarian, doesn't mean you're a vegan. You're just getting more of the good stuff. So it's naturally crowding out the room for the things that may contribute to heart health incidents and things like that.
Sure. And then, doctors also recommend to avoid trans, hydrogenated. Just explain us what this means.
Yeah, so there are some nutrients that are not recommended at all. And like Mediterranean diet is very inclusive. There is one that I will go on the record saying that we should be very cautious of where we get this in our diets, and that's trans fats. And basically there are two forms of trans fats. There are those that occur naturally in animal products and dairy products. Those are perfectly safe to consume in moderate amounts, of course, because when we get too much meat or we get too much dairy, again, not too much of one thing is never going to be a good thing, but in the natural form is going to be completely safe to consume. However, it's when it's manufactured, when we take a liquid fat and turn it into a solid fat, things like margarine and things like that. That is where we get the artificial trans fats. And it extends shelf life of certain foods, and that's why it became so popular. But we know after a few decades that this contributed largely to heart disease. So there's actually, I believe it's not included in any foods at this point in time. And actually on the nutrition label, I always want to caution this because there's loopholes for every manufacturer that uses some sort of trans fatty acids in their products. If it's 0.5 or less grams of trans fat, you don't have to put it on the label. And that can be very tricky because you may unknowingly be eating, it's recommended to get less than 2 grams a day. You may be eating 2 grams a day thinking you're not getting any at all. And you could be at that limit every single day, contributing to levels and increasing risk for heart disease and heart health conditions, or even precursors like diabetes and hypertension without even realizing it. So understanding where you're getting your foods from and making the swap to extra virgin olive oil when possible is a really great way to reduce getting those trans fatty acids, the artificial ones in your diet.
So speaking of the oils, what other oils you think, extra virgin oil, I think all of us know about it. What are the other oils that we can use for cooking, right? Extra virgin oil doesn't have the boiling point. I mean, if you boil it, it changes. So what are the other healthy oils, I should say that?
Yeah, so that's actually a really popular myth. You can still cook with extra virgin olive oil and it be perfectly healthy and fine for you to consume. I usually reserve my good quality ones for finishes and dishes just because the flavor is unmatched. And I'll use some of my cheaper extra virgin olive oils to cook with. I do have a lot of variations of extra virgin olive oil, but it's perfectly safe to cook with and it's really great to cook with. So that's one thing. The other thing, other oils like avocado oil has a really high boiling point. So if I were to pan fry anything, if I'm making like an eggplant parmesan or something like that, I'm usually going to be frying that in avocado oil. It's a little bit cheaper. I can use a little bit more, but I don't want to waste my extra virgin olive oil on, an inch or two of oil if I'm just going to be frying things because I really want that flavor to be there. Those are really the two I recommend the most. Extra virgin olive oil being the best because of its polyphenol content. And it's amazing for antioxidants in your diet. It's amazing for reducing inflammation. It's amazing just all around. So that is the one I recommend the absolute most. I don't really see a need to get all of these different oils because if we're having oil on a daily basis, that's a really good opportunity to make sure that we're getting a good bit of extra virgin olive oil to reduce our risk of a lot of conditions and help our heart health along the way.
Sure. So what about cheese that we find in the supermarket? That's also processed, and should we stay away from the cheese also? You talked about the margarine earlier. That's why I'm bringing this topic now.
Yeah. So there's in a Mediterranean pattern of eating, the animal products are going to be less accounted for. Think of them as the sides, not the main star. We're looking to get fruits and vegetables, beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds as our main dish because of all the wonderful nutrients, phytonutrients in them. So cheese is still something that's widely eaten. Dairy as well, just if it's Greek yogurt, it's still widely available on a Mediterranean plan, just in smaller amounts. I would say 3 to 5 times a week, having a small serving of that, or even just a sprinkle that doesn't really count as a serving. So it's an afterthought, it's a garnish, it's that type of thing. But cheese is definitely something I still incorporate into my plan. We know that cheese is a good source of protein, good source of fat. It's going to be largely saturated fat, which is okay. There are limits and targets that we're looking to stay within, so we don't tip the scales in terms of targets for saturated fat for the day, because again, too much of a good thing is not a good thing. Doesn't mean we have to eliminate it, but we can still incorporate that in balance. If we're getting protein and fat from cheese, what else can we add to that plate? Well, maybe we want to add some non-starchy vegetables. Maybe we want to add some fruit to get some carbs. Maybe we want some whole grains, but it's never that one nutrient by itself. We're always looking to get a mix of things.
Sure, sure. So let's talk a little bit about, there's a lot of research that has been done on Ornish diet and Mediterranean diet and DASH diet. Can you expand a little bit on the research?
Of course. So with the Mediterranean diet, it is going to be the most researched way to eat for heart health conditions. And it's so popular and it does so well because of the loosely terms of what we can and can't have on it, because there really is no regulation for that. It's get more of the good stuff, have less room for the not so great stuff. And it does really, really well. It performs well against anything. And we know that a Mediterranean plan is going to be one of the best options, one of the most maintainable options. Again, if you have that extra layer of, I need to watch my sodium as well, you can still do a Mediterranean plan just watching your sodium intake. But naturally, the Mediterranean diet's going to be pretty low in sodium in general. We're looking at the general recommendation for a healthy adult is about 2,300 milligrams a day. And the biggest contributors to that, and this is important, it's not added salt. It's not your salt shaker that you're shaking onto your food. It would honestly be too salty to consume if you were getting that amount of salt at 2 meals a day. It comes from your processed and packaged foods. It comes from your junk food, your snack foods. And naturally on a Mediterranean plan, you're eating less of that. So you may not even be getting that 2,300 milligrams of salt or over following a Mediterranean plan. And it's very in line with the DASH in general. So you might see these two diets interchangeable. You can 100% do both together because they are very similar. There's just that extra layer of sodium restriction. Like I mentioned, the Ornish diet is much more restrictive and it eliminates a lot of those fats. It is successful in a short-term population. Again, is it something that people can maintain long-term? I'm going to say no. It is effective when it's controlled in a research setting with researchers being able to control the arms and interventions. But from a practical standpoint, it's not going to be something that the regular average person can maintain for the rest of their life, especially if it gets to the point where they have to eliminate all of these things. You know, we can make changes early on in life to avoid having to make such drastic changes later on.
Sure, sure. All right. Tell us about the program that you have designed.
Yeah, so I created in contribution with Nourish Doc a 4-week heart healthy diet plan paired with some nutrition education. So this is going to be, you know, a 4-week webinar self-guided course that has a lot of additional resources to go along with it. So I know in the first week we talk about the statistics of heart disease and certain diets, like we talked about Ornish and DASH and Mediterranean today. We go over those in a bit more detail so you can compare and contrast and really pick a plan that works for you. But for the most part, we're going to be focusing on that Mediterranean diet and how we're going to learn to cook, meal plan, work with your family, and make this so it's a lifestyle change and habit that you can easily implement into your daily lifestyle. We're going to talk about some precursors and how some conditions grouped together may make you more at risk for heart disease down the line, and how to be an advocate for yourself and advocate for health, because as the patient, we are our best advocates, and you have to know where to get good information from. So after we go through that and we go through meal planning and what to look for, how to read nutrition labels, and how to cook for your family, we learn to tailor that plan for yourself. So what are your goals? What are your barriers? How are you going to put this into a step-by-step plan to achieve? And along with that, I also give you, I think, 15 recipes, heart-healthy recipes that have antioxidants, that have heart-healthy fats that are all going to be beneficial for a heart-healthy, low-inflammation way of eating. Also ways to reduce your LDL cholesterol by getting more whole grains. And then there's a program roadmap to help you keep on track. Every week you're gonna, ask yourself what you're working on, what you think may be getting in the way of that, and then jotting any questions down that we can address on our monthly live Q&A.
Wow, thank you so much, Ali. I mean, I think you're doing an amazing, amazing job in educating people about the benefits of Mediterranean diet that people can easily follow, right? Like you talked about the restrictions on the Ornish diet or some of the other diets that are out there. But if someone is coaching them, we as users can follow, but we cannot have a coach the rest of our lives. So that way, Mediterranean diet is easy to follow, to your point.
Exactly. And it, of course, like anything, it's not going to happen overnight. I do have lots of great resources as to how to even get started implementing daily tips and tricks of a Mediterranean lifestyle. But you'll find that it's very, happy-go-lucky, stress-free. It very much, my goal for my clients and for anyone that takes this program is to feel like they are living a life that is not, that is, their food isn't dictating their life. They are dictating their food choices, because that's how the Mediterranean lives. There's no dieting, there's no diet culture. It's very much, let's eat, let's enjoy each other's company, and let's be stress-free. So it incorporates all of these wonderful factors together to know that we don't have to live in this very stressful life where we're worried about every single piece of food that we put in our bodies. There's a much better and a much happier way to do it.
And to your point, people who live on Mediterranean coast like Spain and all over in Mediterranean area, they live up to, so many of them, they live up to 100 years. And because, the diet is, of course, a big factor, but the community, the lifestyle they have, the community around them plays such an important part as well, to their well-being. And that's something also, I think, contributes to their Mediterranean diet and the lifestyle.
Absolutely. Community is a huge part. It always favors more the merrier, less isolation. Meal times are family time. They'll shut down in the middle of the day just to go home and eat lunch. When has that ever happened in the United States? We're working. If we're even lucky enough to get lunch, we're eating while we're answering emails. We're not paying attention to the action. We're not understanding the connection. We're eating distracted is what we are. So either it feels like we're not eating at all, or we're skipping it completely, which has its own repercussions. So it's very much taking, let's just live a healthier lifestyle with much better factors, and you're going to see the results. You're going to reap the results. And it may take some time, but I have every confidence in the world that anyone taking this program will be able to take some tips and implement them into their life.
Well, thank you so much, Ali, for being with us. To all the viewers, this video is going to be available for replay on our FB. If you have any questions, feel free to send it to us in the comment, and we will be sending the replay of this video to all the people who have registered and haven't been able to participate. With that, have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you again, Ali, for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.